Imagine if I told you all the things that I never took the time to tell. Even if I told you, you wouldn't understand that you and I is lost forever. Under all this emptiness, each time I try to get inside, you run a mile, no time for talking. Amelia, Amelia, how could you lead me on this way? I knew I should have stayed away. Amelia, Amelia, there's nothing more left to say. It's time to go our separate ways. They say that time is a healer. I don't believe what they say. I'm broken anyway. Ever since we parted, all this pain has started. It's never ending. Under all this emptiness, each time I try to get inside, you run a mile, no time for talking. Amelia, Amelia, how could you lead me on this way? I knew I should have stayed away. Amelia, Amelia,
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another live stream Saturday. And as always, I hope you guys had a great week and that your weekend has started well as well. Right, we start with Amelia for tonight, and that was my most recent video thing that I have made just for the album track because we didn't have a video for that. So that's why, as you guys will know, long-time viewers will know, not even that long-time viewers will know, that I pieced together the acoustic version that I did where I harmonised with myself. And of course, it was a totally different tempo, so I had to spend ages trying to get it all synced up to the album track. But anyway, that was that particular video, which I haven't uploaded anywhere yet. I guess it's a live stream exclusive. You have to watch the live streams in order to get that particular video. But anyway, hello to you guys in the live chat room. Let me give you guys a shout out. Elaine says, whoa, what wild hair tonight. I know, tell me about it. So on one side it looks like I've been dragged through a bush backwards, and on the other side it's quite organized. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. So anyway, yes, hello to you guys in there. We've got Rose, Laurie, Momo B, Ro again, Sue, Diane, Laurie, Angela, Liz is in there as well, and it's just jumped through, so I'll pick it up a little bit later on, and it's jumping through too quickly. Okay, let's go for Little Lost Kitten, Melody Rocks, Tammy, Bang Bang, Drummer, Alison, Barbara in there as well, Bob's in the house. And yeah, it's going through too quickly. So hello everybody, thank you for joining me tonight. Now, oh, yeah, a couple of things to talk about for tonight, but let me get the names of my patrons up on screen because they make this all possible in the first place. So a huge thank you to you guys. You know who you are, and I always say that they are the foundation of everything that I do and allow me to do what I do on YouTube, all the cover videos and previous videos that I've done, analysis videos as well. So yeah, a huge shout out to you guys at the bottom of the screen. So let's get the likes goal up on screen as well, because tonight we're aiming for 405, and we'll see where we are at the moment. 202. I always say that when we get to 200, by the time I bring on the likeometer, it's a good start. So we're looking for 199 more people before the end of the live stream. And if we do hit that number of 405, then we will have Phil Jam number 269. That is correct. So yeah, if you could leave a thumbs up as you come through the door, that would be very much appreciated. So I will get the donations tab up on screen as well, just to get everything up on screen that we normally do. You don't have to donate, just watching is great, and I know that some people can't resist donating. So for those people, I think it's important that they know between 45 and 60% goes to YouTube through the Super Chat window, and between 3 and 5% goes to PayPal through the PayPal link in the description below. But you don't have to donate anything, even for analysis videos or anything like that. Just send your requests through to requests@wingsofpegasus.com. And I mean, just so people know that the clue is in the email address. That is the requests email. So if you do have a request, then you can send it through to requests@wingsofpegasus.com. And even though, and this seems to be the case all over the place, where people will send requests through to the, the business email, and then that's not really the place for requests, and other people will send through other things to, like sponsorship emails or whatever to the requests, and then will message me about things that are, nothing to do with requests. So yeah, for requests, just make sure it is that particular email address. And if you can only use that email for requests, it would be much appreciated, because it means I can just work my way through them rather than having to kind of go on a bit of a detour answering somebody's question about something that's not related to requests or an upcoming analysis video. But yeah, that is the place to email for those. But you don't have to donate. Just watching, it is great, as I always say. Right, now that we've got everything up on screen and we are organized, we can get into, first of all, I think, what I've been up to on Thursday. So yeah, only a couple of days ago, but on Thursday I normally have an admin day, and this Thursday wasn't an admin day. It was going into London and doing some filming and stuff for something that I'm going to be involved with later on in the year, but I can't say anything about it. But it still was great to go into London, and I guess I can say where I was doing it. I was doing this particular thing at Dean Street Studios in London, and it was great to go there because it's got such a history of artists that have recorded there. I mean, pretty much anyone has recorded there over the years, and yeah, David Bowie especially, and you know, modern day artists as well, you know, like Adele and Ed Sheeran and lots of other very well known bands and artists that I could be here all day listing or naming, but you can go on the website and type in Dean Street Studios and see all the people that have, or the artists that have recorded there. So yeah, it's great to go there, and yeah, to be kind of where so much music has been created and where there's been so much history, and kind of sitting in the same room, you know, with the same piano and all the guitars that have been used in various recordings. So that was cool, but I wasn't recording anything musically. It was just something that I was, I guess, adding my insight to on a particular subject. So yeah, I'll let you guys know as and when that will be released, and it is due to be on, you know, national TV here in the UK, yeah, which will be cool. And yeah, I'll let you guys know as and when. But I can't really say a lot about it, other than it was very cool to even be asked to go and do that, and the fact that the producer had seen my channel and wanted me to talk about, you know, what I talk about on my channel, but I guess in a different context. And I've never done anything for national TV where I'm effectively being referenced as an analyst, and obviously, you know, I do have a lot of history with the analysis videos of having done it for almost 10 years, and I guess having over 500,000 subscribers and over 130 million views, I think it is now, then yeah, there's a fair amount to back it up. So but it's great that I was even asked for my, I don't know, expertise. The thing is, I always, I don't know, I hesitate to say that I'm really an expert in it. All I know is kind of what I know and how long I've been doing it, and all of my kind of history as, yeah, a musician and producer and guitar teacher and vocalist, and all the different things that I guess have given me a very unique skill set. That, you know, I was thinking this, that when people say about, you know, other people's kind of education in particular areas, and I don't really buy into that too much, especially, and I promise we're not going to get into politics on tonight's live stream, but especially when somebody, for example, has been to university and they've studied politics. I think when talking about politics, and especially representing a particular community, learning about it doesn't really help. It is better if somebody has lived it, so they know what this community are trying to say and what this community want from that particular elected official of wherever it may be. So I think that, you know, saying, oh yeah, I'm in charge of this community because I've studied the politics that I need to learn about at university, and then I'm sure the community will say, we don't care what you've studied at university, this is what we want you to fix. For example, landlords not keeping the flats in livable conditions, and they're having damp, and then the children are getting ill because of the damp, and, you know, studying at university doesn't help with that. So yeah, but I think you do get this disconnect quite a lot, where, I mean, I've had it in the comments section of my channel, where people who have studied different things still don't necessarily understand what I'm talking about. So then I have to kind of try and explain it a bit more. But this is what I mean about having a unique skill set, is that, yeah, if you were trying to study what I'm doing on my channel in a course, there isn't a course that you can do. So I guess this is, yeah, why a few people do tune in because I cover lots of different things to do with live performance and production. And in last night's case, which I will talk about, testing hearing, but vocal analysis and isolating vocals, pitch monitoring software, analyzing pitch lines, comparing pitch data for miming, lip syncing, pitch correction, auto tune, all these different things. But then, pointing out guitar techniques and vocal techniques and great singers and what they're doing and why they sound the way that they do sound, and recording techniques in the studio, double tracking. And there are lots of different avenues that I go down with the videos that I think you'd have to, currently, if you wanted to study at university, you'd have to take a course in, first of all, maybe in music, if you play an instrument, learning to maybe read and write music, but also compose, but then live performance as well. You'd have to kind of study a bit of that. And then you'd have to study, I don't know, that you can study pitch graphs and pitch data in relation to live performances and being able to see when an audio file is replicated. All of this stuff, generally, you'd start getting into, analysing actual sound waves, but that's still not as relevant because sound waves isn't really to do with human vocal cords and pitch data analysis. So anyway, what I can say is I have been asked by universities to go and talk about what I do. Unfortunately, those have been over in the USA, including the Juilliard School of Music over there, which I know is very famous. So I have been asked to talk about what I do, and I think I've referred to them correctly in that way. But I know that they have seen my channel and want me to maybe talk about natural vocals against pitch correction, auto tune. I think the topic of that, obviously it's over in the USA, so I couldn't travel over there to do it because I'm in the UK. But I think the topic that they wanted me to talk about to the students was to do with tuning and natural sounds, i.e. the human voice, and microtones, and I guess getting into details about how microtones are linked with expression. That's between the notes is where we humans hear expression. So when they're conforming to A440 standard pitch equal temperament, it means that we're getting rid of expression. So then it was all about the trade-off between technology, tuning, and connection with your music, and how you want your music to come across and potentially connect with an audience. So it would have been quite complicated. But that's what I talk about on my channel, and I think maybe the students would understand if they're studying music and they'll know about A440, and I don't know whether they'll know about pitch correction and auto tune and the levels that it is being applied, because, like I've said, even people that have said that they're educated in the comments section, they still don't really understand about the pitch data and what lines going over lines actually means, that it is a replication which is impossible to do with human vocal cords. So anyway, getting into the live stream for tonight. And right, we have got everything up on screen. I believe we've got the vote at the top of the live chat room. I can see Elaine saying, Juilliard, that's a huge deal. Wings with Pegasus. I was very honoured to even be asked to do that kind of thing. And also, it does back up my view of it, that if you're asked to talk by that kind of institution, or should I say something that is so well known and held in such high regard, that they must think that I've got something of importance, or that might help students with the way that they are approaching music and how they understand music, and the things that they can maybe take with them after their education into whatever they want to do. So I was very flattered to be asked to do that, and it's just that I'm a bit too far away in order to have taken them up on it. But the good thing was that on Thursday I was contacted that actually was it last week? It's relatively quick. So yeah, anything that happens like that in the UK, then generally, because I'm quite close to London anyway, generally I can pop in there, and yeah, it just means that Thursday was a day of kind of travelling and recording, which was great. And now I'm just catching up with everything. So this is the other thing, that with the messages over on Patreon and the emails, I'm still catching up with those, especially emails through my website. I've got to get up to date with those because I've effectively missed a whole day of admin that I did on Thursday. So I am still catching up, but I will get there. Now, I can see that there have been some donations in the super chat window, so thank you guys for these. But I will quickly just address the couple that have happened over on PayPal. And it's the Souls Compass that has donated £2.22. So thank you for that. Just scrolling down. The message is, "Hi Phil, you taught guitar for many years. Do you have any inspiring stories that you can share? You must have made a difference to so many people. Thank you, Phil." So thank you for that. I don't know whether they're inspiring stories, but you know, occasionally, generally, when you're teaching kids and they have a passion for it, means that they practice more. So then they find that they're, you know, getting better at playing the guitar, and then they might want to start a band and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, that was quite enjoyable for them. Then starting down that path of just enjoying music and enjoying playing, because that's what my teaching was all about with, you know, younger students. It's just keeping it interesting and teaching them stuff that they want to learn, and obviously kind of pointing out the theory as we go, but just letting them play the guitar, and just if they want to get out there and start a band with their friends from school, then that's great as well. So that was cool. I guess with the older players, you know, even somebody who was probably in his 40s or 50s, and I'd started teaching him, you know, from scratch. So, you know, he couldn't play anything, and you know, he was with me for quite a few years. But we basically went on the journey from, you know, starting from nothing to then playing both. I was going to say lead guitar, but both electric guitar and acoustic guitar. So mostly lead was on the electric guitar. And yeah, obviously when somebody's kind of passionate about it and wanting to learn, it means that, yeah, you can kind of move on from one lesson to the next, and we don't ever really get stuck anywhere. So it turned out that he was playing, you know, electric guitar, which meant that he could join in with bands and play that, you know, I guess in cover bands is kind of what he wanted to do. But then, and the good thing was that I could then teach him, for example, if he was struggling with a particular part of a song and one of the covers that they play in the band that he'd joined, in his lesson, I could take him through what he needed to learn for that particular, you know, song. It might have been a chord that he couldn't quite hear what the right chord was, or what variation of chord it was. So yeah, we'd go through that, maybe teach him the lead if he didn't know that from the song. And with acoustic guitar, we did fingerstyle. So I mean, I don't really play fingerstyle myself, but I've had to learn to do it in order to teach it. So yeah, we were doing, you know, like Simon and Garfunkel for example. You know, fingerstyle, and there were lots of other songs that we were doing. But I think generally for the covers, it was that kind of thing. You know, I mean, Simon and Garfunkel are always well-known songs, regardless, really, I think, of the generation. They always seem to go through there. And also more recent artists and younger artists who are then covering those particular songs and putting a different spin on them. So yeah, they're always in the public's consciousness. But anyway, yeah, it meant that he was proficient at fingerstyle as well, which means that he could do lots of things. And then he started doing open mic nights. So you've got somebody who started from nothing to then playing live, and doing open mic nights as well, which is, by the way, when somebody just goes up there and kind of plays the guitar and sings a little bit as well. And obviously with the singing part of it, I could also kind of guide, even though it's technically guitar lessons, because I've done vocal lessons in the past as well and taught a bit of vocals. I could kind of point them in the right direction about knowing where the high note is and maybe transposing keys in order for that high note to maybe now be a semitone lower to make it easier, and playing and singing at the same time. Again, this is something that when somebody is learning to play the guitar, to go and play live and go and sing and play live, that's another thing that I think you've got to have done that yourself in order to then help them, because they might say, and this particular student said, in the verse, I always trip up on this particular part because of the riff that's being played and what I'm singing. So yeah, you have to then kind of walk them through, okay, well, this is how to approach it in your mind so that you can keep on playing and you can keep on singing and do those two things independently and, yeah, not get tripped up at that particular point. So, yeah, I think just, yeah, people learning from week to week and improving and enjoying playing, I think that's probably one of the inspiring things. I think it's just, job satisfaction is when you get somebody who is passionate about it and is improving. Then that's what you, as a teacher, I think that's your job, is to improve them. It's not really about what I'm like, what I can do, or or what I've achieved. It's all about your student. You use what you have done in order to help them improve, and however you need to teach them in order to achieve that, then that's what you do. So yeah, that's very much the way that I approach teaching in general. But anyway, yeah, thank you for that. And Bryony's donated £5 as well, so thank you for that, Bryony. And the message is, the hearing test was a blast and England have won the Women's Rugby World Cup. Hooray! So thank you for that. And yes, I already knew this. Thankfully, I wasn't recording it to watch after the live stream, not knowing the result. But yes, England's women's rugby team have won the World Cup, which we were hosting here in England anyway, or should I say in the UK. I think it was mostly in England. I'll have to check. But from what I saw from most of the games, they were all in stadiums that were in England. But there might have been a couple in Wales. I'd have to check that. But we won the competition, so that was great. Now, the other thing is last night's video where we had a bit of a hearing test. And it's great because we've got loads of data in the comments section about people who have been listening along to the video, done the test, and some people, have written their age and their background and at what frequency their ears kind of dropped out and they couldn't hear the tone anymore. And with some people, the tone dropped out and then it might have just come back for a hint of, another frequency and then it went away. The interesting thing is that there have been a few comments from people that have said, are you serious ? This is totally dependent on the quality of your speakers and all that kind of stuff. I do say in the video that, it's not an actual hearing test. I'm not an audiologist. I'm not going to do something medically. But what I will say is some people don't even know that this is a thing where you can get to a particular frequency and then your ears can't hear above that. So what's interesting is somebody said, got to 8,000 and the sound cut out. So my speakers can't play it. So you need to have expensive speakers in order to hear the tone. But this is the problem, that people don't realise that and I would say that, even on my phone can still play the same frequency and my ears still drop out at exactly the same point as through my reference speakers, my professional speakers here that I use. So if the phone, basically what I'm saying is, for the people that are saying, oh, I'm on my laptop and the sound cuts out, i.e. the speakers can't play the sound above 8,000 hertz, it's most likely not the speakers, and people aren't understanding that that's your ears, or those are your ears. They can't hear it above that. It is still going. And I know that it's a weird thing to try and kind of get your head around, that you can't hear it. It just suddenly stops. So yeah, for those people that have been saying that, I have said to them, just listen to it on your phone, because I haven't got the most amazing phone. If my phone speakers can play the tone up to the same frequency and it's audible for me, then it'll be the same for other people. But yeah, this is the problem, that people don't necessarily understand what's going on. They think that their speakers are broken because they can't hear above a particular frequency, but that's not the case. It's your ears that can't hear it. The speakers making the noise absolutely fine. And I mean, it is interesting because when I was editing the video, of course, when I got to 14,000 hertz, and by the way, that's like 14,000, I'm telling you how many hertz there are, but it's also referred to as, kilohertz, so like 14 kilohertz to make it easier. So like 14 and then KHZ, that's sometimes how it is displayed. But anyway, so it meant that, mine went out at about, 14, I keep saying 14,000 hertz because then it's related to the video. And when I was doing the editing, the interesting thing was, and it's amazing to look at, I can see that, the tone is happening. So it means that I can see the audio file of the video that I'm editing. And the audio, I can see there's a chunk of audio. And I can hear it, I can hear it, I can hear it. And then my ears don't pick it up anymore, but I can still see on screen there's a noise happening. But I can't hear it. So I can see that chunk of audio continues, but my ears say you can't hear that anymore. So yeah, you've got physical, visual evidence that there is a sound happening coming out of these speakers, but it's just the ears that aren't picking it up. So yeah, for those people that maybe as well say, I thought I had good hearing, and it's cut out at 8,000, so what's going on and all that kind of stuff. The test that I did last night went up to 20,000 hertz, and generally a hearing test will go up to 8,000. So we're taking it way higher than you would normally have. So I wouldn't be too panicked about if it dropped out at maybe 6,000 hertz or 8,000 hertz or anything like that, because that's where your hearing test would go to anyway. But just for a bit of fun, I went all the way up just to see how high some people could go. And yeah, we did have some people that said like 18,000 that they heard up to. But definitely there was a trend, which is just nature, that the older you are, the less of the top end, the less higher frequencies you can hear. So another thing somebody commented, which is interesting, they were doing the test on their computer, listening to it through the speakers, and I think either their daughter or maybe their niece came in and said, "Oh, what's that really annoying sound? Can you kind of turn it off, please?" Because it is annoying just hearing the tone, but it's the best way to kind of test if you can hear that frequency, just having a sine wave that just continues. But anyway, so then the aunt, we'll call them, then explained that, it's just here, testing my hearing. So anyway, the niece went away, and the aunt now couldn't hear it anymore, and was sat there and obviously just was watching the video. So it means that I'm continuing, just ramping up the frequency. So that continues and continues, and then the niece comes running in and said, "I told you to shut this off because it's really annoying." But the aunt couldn't hear anything, but obviously the younger ears of the niece could hear that it was still going on. So she obviously found it really annoying, but the aunt was totally oblivious to all these high frequencies because hers had cut out. She couldn't hear it anymore. So yeah, what I'm going to have to remember to do is do this test with my nephews to see where they get to. And because I've got 3 nephews, see whose hearing is getting most of the top end of the frequencies, and see where theirs drop out. Because, I mean, theoretically, they should all have slightly different, because they're not a clone of each other. They're not like identical twins or anything. So 2 of them are twins, but they're not identical. But let's not get into all of that. They should have natural variations in what they can hear. So it will be interesting to see if well, first of all, how much they can hear, how high they can go, but then also if one of them or 2 of them drop out at different points, or all 3 of them drop out at different points. So I'll have to remember that. And again, this is just stuff that I find interesting. It's not necessarily anything that's been requested on the channel, but yeah, that video for last night is great because we're getting lots of data from people who, sometimes have been, gigging a lot in their lives, and they might be maybe kind of 50 or 60 years of age, and they're still getting up to, 12,000, 13,000, 14,000. So yeah, a lot of people have, I think, still looked after their ears in order to still maintain a really impressive level of hearing in older age. And then you get other people that openly admit that they were going to shows, and they were like, a drummer would be drumming in bands for 30 years and didn't wear earplugs, and might then drop out a little bit earlier in that experiment. But all interesting stuff, I think. So right, I was addressing the PayPal donation, so I will just continue in there. Karen donated £5.42, so thank you for that. And the message is, "Hi Phil, so excited to hear about your program. I hope it will be available to watch statewide. If you were asked to write a follow-up song from your CD, which song you choose and why? Thanks, Karen." If you were asked to write a follow-up song from your CD, I'm not sure exactly what that would mean, but I guess if I had to write a follow-up song to something on the album, if that's what you mean, then maybe it'd be a sequel to Percy Johnson, to see what happened. And the interesting thing about that was Percy Johnson was just a random name that I came up with because I just thought it sounded a bit funny. And then there's a movie, or maybe there are books, but there was a movie that came out after I'd kind of written and recorded the song and done it all, called Percy Jackson. And I thought, that's almost exactly the same name as the one that I made up that sounded a bit funny. So it wasn't related. If people think, was it a obviously the story's totally unrelated to Percy Jackson, but it might be a follow-up to Percy Johnson. There you go, to see how he got on with it all and what happened. So Karen donated again £4.11, so thank you for that. And the message is, "Phil, I learned this quote from Alan Locos. We have no idea what tomorrow will bring, but today is overflowing with potential. Do you agree, /disagree, /have an opinion on it?" Thanks, Karen. So thank you for that. And do I agree? We have no idea what tomorrow will bring. I agree. But today is overflowing with potential. I agree. So there you go. I agree with that statement. And I've said many times that I think the most important thing to do is, if you have ideas for something, and this is the other thing about the other idea that I've had, and I'm in the process of getting things together, is getting this video of vocal coaches across YouTube singing naturally, so we can celebrate that. So I'm still doing all that and piecing that together and contacting different vocal coaches, but it's good. I've had a good response to it so far. So anyway, yes, I agree with that particular quote. But what I was going to say is, if you have an idea to do something, then just do it, rather than thinking about, maybe that would be something that would be a good idea to do, or maybe that. And I think there are lots of people that have lots of different ideas, but they never really focus on one. But I mean, it means that it's going to be a lot of work if you just do every idea. But that's just the way that I approach it, is if I have an idea to do something, then I just do it and, just see what happens. It does mean that I'm very busy, but, I think it's going to be good. I mean, that particular project with all of the vocal coaches, but also with this TV thing that I've been, I was asked to do, that I've now done. Again, it's something that I think, I can do that. Right. We are now up to date in PayPal, so I will now pop over to the Super Chat window. And by the way, let's give a plug of that thumbs up button. If you guys can hit the thumbs up, that would be very much appreciated. We are aiming for 405 likes for tonight's live stream. And we are at 338, meaning we have to get 67 more people. That's what I'm going for. 67 more thumbs up before the end of the live stream in order to have a fill jam for tonight. We'll bust out the guitar and have a jam over track number 269. So, jumping back into the super chat window, Orlando said spike the likes with lots of thumbs up, so thank you for that. And a Malteser donated $4.99, so thank you for that, Malteser. And the message is, good evening, Phil. Your hoodie is making me feel really hot. We are 90 Fahrenheit here. So, yeah, things are cooling down now in the UK, finally. So, yeah, we're going to be getting in, well, recently we've been in the single figures overnight. Like the other night I looked at the temperature and it was 2 degrees, which is 2 degrees Celsius, which is 2 degrees off freezing. So it means things are cooling down here, hence the hoodie is back. I don't know whether it's going to warm up before Christmas, probably not, so it might be just a hoodie for the foreseeable future. Sue's donated $19.99. Thank you for that. And the message is, the University of Phil now accepting applications. So thank you for that. I think anybody enrolling for this university is going to have a shock, because they'll say, okay, right, so what are we doing today? And I say, oh, we're learning to play the guitar. They say, oh, but I don't play the guitar. I said, well, yeah, you got to learn to. Yeah. Say, well, you've got to be able to break down guitar techniques and vocal techniques. We're going to learn to sing as well. And then there'll be so much in this course that now we're learning to isolate vocals and run them through pitch monitoring software, and interpreting what we're looking at with pitch correction, auto tune, and just the pitch graphs in general. Yeah, there'll be loads of live performance. You'd have to learn about, foldback in-ear monitors, playing, singing at the same time. It'll be a course that basically, production. And that's a whole nother course by itself. You can just study production by itself. That'd have to be part of it. So, mixing, all part of production. Learning how to do it in the studio. Engineering, that will be part of it as well. So, lots of different subjects. Elaine says, don't forget hairstyling. But I think on tonight's evidence, you can see that I'm clearly not qualified in that. So I don't think that'll make it as part of the course. So thank you, Sue, for that. Malteser's donated $4.99 and says, you are still tickled pink by the invite, though. It's great to have corner the market on something other people didn't even think about. So thank you for that. And Karen donated $10. Thank you for that. And the message is, greetings from beautiful California, Phil. I've often read that Freddie Mercury didn't have his teeth fixed because he was afraid it would affect his vocals. Do you think it would have? So thank you for that. And I mean, potentially, I think just because of the nature of the human skull and all of the, crevices, all the places where sound goes and resonates, everybody's skull does that. So it means that, if you've got a different skull to somebody else, if you've got a dramatically different skull, then you're going to get potentially a dramatically different sound to your voice. And there are some people that are very talented. I mean, very few people can do this, but there are a few that are very talented who can manipulate the sounds of other people's voices by getting their voice to resonate in particular places that sound similar. So there are, very few people that can do that, but they do exist. But on the whole, generally, everybody's resonance chamber, which is your skull, is different. So if you think about Freddie Mercury, I would say that absolutely there's a potential for changing that resonance chamber, it would be like changing the shape of your guitar. Whereas, as you can, well, you can't see behind me, but acoustic guitars, they all have very similar bodies, very similar shapes, because that's the shape that gives the perfect amount of resonance and the best sound. So that shape is then used across all different manufacturers and different makes of guitars, and having that shape is the one thing that's almost like a non-negotiable. Like if you were to make a guitar that had a really weird body and it was going to be an acoustic guitar, you know, you're risking now losing a lot of the tone and the resonance and the shape that we know resonates most effectively. But anyway, taking that same principle to now a skull and Freddie Mercury's skull, if you're looking at his teeth, because his teeth created more space, and you know, that's an undeniable fact that his teeth created more space for resonance in his mouth. So if you were to take those teeth and kind of correct them, i.e. kind of now align them and push them back towards the inside of his mouth, you've now got a smaller space. So anyway, obviously I can't say conclusively that it would have changed his voice, but I think even the idea of it having the potential to is enough to then think, well, why would you risk it? Why would you risk changing the voice that you have, which is so unique and so standalone, and change you potentially losing that just because you want to look a particular way? So yeah, I think even if there's a slight chance, which just because of the skull working the way that it does with vibrations and frequencies and sound and resonance, editing that, you think, well, it's not worth the risk because you could change it. So anyway, that's my answer to that particular question. So yeah, right, we have had a couple of donations in that super chat window again. Karen's donated $2 saying, if there's a Phil University, am I welcome? Cheers. So thank you for that. I don't know what the entry requirements would be for it. Generally, I just think, well, if you want to do it, then just go for it. I mean, that's all I've ever done. I've been really interested in lots of different things, so I've just learnt about it and researched it, and that's just turns into your own way of doing it. And I guess you don't really need to go to university for that. If you're interested in lots of different things, then just learn. I mean, there are so many resources now on the internet. You can just learn about it. So just read and watch videos, absorb information, and be as informed about things as you can be. But just do whatever you want to do. Kyria Layson has donated $2 as well. Thank you for that. And the message is, I am happy because I think Iris may finally win. And I mean, this is the cover video vote for tonight. Iris has 56% of the vote, so it is close to winning. And I don't think we've got too much time left. Maybe another 5 minutes on the vote. So I can't remember what the other song was. Oh, it was You Know My Name. So those are the two cover videos for tonight, my version of either of those, and Iris is in the lead with 56% of the vote. Melody Rock says, Phil, do you have an high IQ? So, that's just reminded me. So, I don't know. I've never done an IQ test, but it's reminded me about English and having a high IQ and not an high IQ, because this is what I don't understand, and they say this everywhere here in the UK. I don't know whether it's the same in other places. They say it's an historic occasion, and I hear this on the news and different documentaries, and they're using this all over the place, saying an historic, but that's incorrect. At least to my understanding of English, when followed by an H, it can't be an, it's a historic. It's a historic. And just saying a historic occasion, when you say an historic, it doesn't flow into the H. So when you have A historic, the hard H of h, a historic occasion, that's how English works. But when you have an honest opinion, a soft H is an honest gesture, or whatever, opinion, whatever I just said. So that's how it works. So I don't know where this an historic thing has come from, because historic is a hard H. Yeah. Anyway, let's say, well, and I know that, in the USA they have different things, but Sue says they say that in the US as well. It is not incorrect. It is antiquated English. So, okay, well, I'm talking about, and I know that things over in the USA, in order to make them different from English, they decided to just change a few things and change different spellings, and like colour, for example, taking out the U and making it just an OR to show that it's the American version of English, and they like replacing S's with Z's and all that kind of stuff. So it's just something that was decided to be done, and maybe that's the same thing, that maybe over in the USA that they've changed it to an historic. But when you speak, I guess, with an English accent, it's difficult to say that. And I'm talking about documentaries and news reports in the UK, where you can hear the presenter is having a difficult time saying an historic. They have to kind of stop to say it, because it's the reason it's difficult to say is because I don't think it should be said like that in original English, traditional English. Now Little Lost Kitten says a historic is correct in the USA. So, yeah, we'll see. Karen says in the USA, the Z is the letter Z. So I think what Karen means there is the letter Z is the letter Z. So again, this is another thing. You say Z over in the USA, we say Z. So the letter Z is Z, rather than the letter Z is Z. Again, this is tomato, tomato, potato, potato. Let's skip that advert as it comes through. So yeah, we've got all of these different things. It's just, I don't know why. I don't know why these things get under my skin, especially when it is a historic. See, I've automatically said the correct thing there. I was just going to say a historic documentary, or a documentary on history, and they will say an historic. It's like, oh, what's going on? Oh, I don't know. But I just have to let it go, because it seems like it might be here to stay, even though I don't think it is actually correct, certainly here in the UK. So, anyway, right. There have been a couple more donations over on PayPal, so we'll jump into those quickly. Dawn's donated £3.58, so thank you for that, Dawn. And that is a straight-up donation. Joe has donated £10, so thank you for that, Joe. And the message is, Phil, it's rather trivial nowadays to calculate resonant frequencies and Q values, the quality factors of different frequencies, Verdonant strengths, for a volume like guitar body. So, is acoustic guitar development being hampered by a blind adhere to historical fashions? So thank you for that. Now that was almost like a university abstract that's been written on a paper. So I would say that guitars and the design of the guitar has been evolving for hundreds and hundreds of years. So it means that the body to begin with wasn't very resonant, and they then changed the body a bit and they found, oh, hang on, that sounds better, so we'll use that one. And then somebody else changed it a bit and said, oh, hang on, mine sounds better than that. And then somebody said, hang on, his guitar sounds better, so we'll copy that. So it has been in development for many years. I have to try and find out exactly how many years. I don't know the figure. But yeah, because it has been evolving all the time. I think by now, and I think with most technologies, when talking about instruments, such as instruments, that an orchestra would play, for example, they have all been developed for such a long time that you then find the particular body, and this is why, you don't get loads of different, unless you're talking about an electric violin, you don't get loads of different designs of violins, one that might look like it's been made by Prince or something. They were all made in that particular way because that is the design that has been, effectively filed down from all the other designs that didn't work. So yeah, I think it's the same with the guitar. I mean, if you really wanted to get into it, then you could study, and there are still companies that will design things ever so slightly differently and say that, it gives X amount of extra frequencies compared to, another company's design. But there's nothing, I don't think, revolutionary going on when you're talking about acoustic guitars and, classical guitars, for example, and just the design of them. So yeah, I don't think there's anything that is going to be fundamentally game changing for, the resonance of that particular space on guitar bodies. So yeah, I think the reason that there isn't loads and loads of research into it by loads and loads of different guitar brands and companies is because I think they've all accepted that it's got to a particular point where you can only change tiny, tiny, tiny details, and it's not going to be a game changer. So, I mean, if it was the case, then every company would be all over it, because every guitar company would now bring out a guitar that is noticeably better than the competition. But yeah, that, obviously, because we're in 2025, that's going to be very difficult to achieve, to do that when we're talking about an instrument that has an acoustic space to it, and the acoustic space that is relied upon to create the sound and to resonate as much as possible. But anyway, yeah, thank you for that, Joe. It's an interesting sounding question. So now we are up to date in the the PayPal window that I was just looking at, and right, we've had another donation. Timothy has donated $4.99. Thank you for that. We need to get into this cover video, but that was a straight up donation from Timothy, so thank you for that. And the message doesn't exist, it's straight up, but then Karen has written a message with a $5 donation saying tomato, let's call the whole thing off. No, I'm joking. That's for the lesson in British English I'm still learning. Thanks for all, Karen. So thank you for that. Right, we are going to be jumping into tonight's cover video. By the way, we're looking for, how long's tonight's jam if we get there? 8 minutes 45 seconds. Okay, right, we're going to have to get a move on with this, and we're looking for 12 more people to hit the thumbs up. If you can do that, that would be great. We have one picture from Picture Corner as well. So let's jump into, it is going to be Iris with 56% of the vote. So thank you guys for voting, and it's my version of the Goo Goo Dolls classic. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you after. Rock!
Well, I'd give up forever to touch you, 'cause I know that you feel me somehow. You're the closest to heaven I'll ever be, and I don't wanna go home right now. And all I can taste is this moment, and all I can breathe is your life. When sooner or later it's over, I just don't wanna miss you tonight. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. Whenever there's a made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. the tears that ain't coming, or the moment of truth in your lies, when everything feels like the movies. Yeah, you bleed just to know you're alive. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. Whenever there's a made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am.
And there we have it. I hope you guys enjoyed that one, and thank you for voting for that as tonight's cover video song. Right, now, let's jump into Picture Corner, and we have hit the target of 405 likes, so we're going to be busting out the guitar in a second. So let's get this up on screen, and it's just going to be one picture for tonight. And let me see if I can find it and where it displays. It's off to the left hand side, so I think we'll just have to deal with that unless I can very quickly find, here we go, right, let's drag it over there. So this is Suzanne, and the message is, my red hot Wings of Pegasus shirt on a hot day. On a hot day, not an hot day. But thank you for that, Suzanne. So Suzanne has, yes, written it entirely correctly. And thank you for that. And Laura, thank you for sending that my way as well. So let me get rid of this and come back to where I am here. So, yes. And just finishing the point about an and a, anytime that it's a hard H, like hot, it's a hot day. So, an honest, like you wouldn't say that's a honest, a honest. You know, either way that you say it, if you say it incorrectly, either way, you get tripped up when you're trying to say it. But anyway, yeah, I know that it is said both ways, and technically it's probably not considered incorrect, but I think that's because everyone's been saying it incorrectly for so long, or so many people do, saying an historic, that there's no way that you can argue that historic is a soft H, is about the hardest H you can get. So anyway, we will be jumping into tonight's Phil Jam, and let me think. Right, let's. Little Lost Kitten says you are correct. So thank you for that. Yeah, right. Let's turn on the mic. That's part one of organising this, and we're going to click on that. There's an advert, so let me mute that. Right, so we are going to be playing over the top of, I think it started and it's still muted. I'll unmute that. We're going to be playing over the top of Fragile, Spacey Ballad backing track /jam. Oh no, guitar jam. F sharp minor in brackets a safe place. And this is from Pat Matrone or Pat Matrone on YouTube. Oh, and this was only uploaded 2 weeks ago, so this is hot off the press. And okay, right, I can hear that. Last time on the fill jam, it was a really weird mix. I just couldn't hear my guitar at all. It's like it'd been muted. But hopefully this will be better. We'll have a listen. I feel like I've forgotten to do something. Oh, zoom out. Come on, Mr. Red Dude. Oh, apparently we were zoomed out already. Right. Let me see if I can do this. all the pictures are on screen, so that means it is the end, I think. Yes, it was. It then goes to silence. So that is the end of the Fragile Spacey ballad backing track / guitar jam F sharp minor in brackets a safe place. It's a long title, but this is from Pat Matrone or Pat Matrone on YouTube. So you guys can check that out if you want to have a jam along to it. But that was Phil Jam number 269. And thank you guys for hitting the thumbs up. If you're watching this in the future on catch up, then you can hit that thumbs up as well. It really does help the live stream to get out there and for the channel to grow on the whole. So another video coming your way tomorrow night. Look out for that one. We'll be live streaming on Tuesday night again. So if you could join me, that would be much appreciated, because we're going to be aiming for another likes goal and potentially busting out the guitar again, which will be nice. So, I think, well, we did have another donation in the super chat window from Diamond Girl for $5, so thank you for that. And the message was, I have been listening in tonight while cooking. Beautiful, Phil. Thank you. So thank you for that. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And all that's left for me to say is try to stay as safe and as sane as possible in this crazy world in which we live. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I will catch you guys tomorrow night. So I'll see you then. Rock!